Hey everybody, it's Jody, and I've been thinking about accountability today. That's a word that I don't particularly love. I don't love it when other people think they need to hold me accountable to things that I say I want. I know that's what coaching is all about, being a place where people can come back and check with their coach to make sure that they're doing the things they said they were going to do. I know it's necessary. It's what I do. I'm a coach. But I'm a life coach, and it's a little different than a business coach, at least in my experience of having working with both a business coach and a life coach myself. It's less about a one, two, three, how to do step one, do step two, do step three, and then you will get this result. And it's more about asking questions to help me when I was working with a life coach. And what I do with people is help them think a little differently. And I believe that, well, I totally believe that we are in a dearth of accountability in our world right now, where it's really difficult for people to admit their mistakes, to own up to the things that they said that didn't end up being true, or to share their awarenesses. It feels like there's a whole lot of wanting somebody else to tell us what to do so that we don't have to be accountable for making that decision. And I say we because it feels like that's kind of a prevalent way of being in the world right now. It's really difficult, it appears to me, to own stuff. I call that in my course own your shit and own your shine. And it turns out that people are really good sometimes at owning their shine. I'm great at this. I'm the best in the world at this, but they don't own their shit, which is I messed up. This is what didn't work out. This is what I could have done differently. This is what I learned from the mistake I made. And I don't mean it to be like bad. Shit in that context isn't bad. It's just if we focus on something, we shouldn't be surprised we get more of it. So if I focus on avoiding responsibility, then wouldn't it make sense that I get more opportunities to avoid responsibility? But if I only ever own everything and I say, nope, it's my fault, I'll take it. It's like that old analogy of not my circus, not my monkeys. Remember? If you take the monkey off somebody else's back and you always take the monkey off everybody else's back, pretty soon you've got a back full of monkeys and it's not even yours to own. So I've been in a case in my life, in my work, where I got let go from an organization. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, I've gotten let go from organizations, but my contract was not renewed with an organization because what they wanted from me as their coach, facilitator, whatever they saw me to be, was a one, two, three, step by step, do step one, do step two, do step three. I'll tell you what to do and you do it. And then, we'll pay you for that. I didn't do that because I don't know in my world of being a life coach how I can possibly tell you step one, step two, step three if you don't own it. If you don't own what you're doing, and if you're doing things resentfully and you're kicking the can around and being upset about things, how is the effect of your action going to be taken by the people around you? I know that's the way it's been in the past. That's why I don't like accountability, because I don't like somebody else telling me, do this, do this, do this, and then you will get this result. Because I won't get that result if I do it resentfully. I know it because I've been there. I have to understand the why behind things. It's the way I'm wired. I can give you many examples in my corporate career where people would tell me to do parts of a project. I was a communications coordinator and I did desktop publishing back in the day. That's what it was called. And they would tell me about parts of a project and they'd say, do this, do this, do this, but they wouldn't give me the overall what it was for. And it was so difficult for me to do my best work because I didn't know how my little piece fit into the whole big picture. And I realize now that I'm a big picture person. If we're going to go in the strengths finder arena, I am a maximizer. My second one is strategic. I want to see the big picture. Ideation, I'm creative. Activator, and learner. Those are my five. I can't undo who I am. I'm a maximizer. I want to make things better and I want to help other people make things better. But if people don't want to be in that space, anything I tell them will make no difference. And so without accountability, nothing will matter. Nothing will matter because people will just be like robots walking through their lives doing stuff without having a why behind it. It doesn't work that way. And when I hired my first life coach back in 2003, I hired my first life coach. And I didn't always like what she said because she would say things like, I hear you really complaining about this situation in your life. And, there's really nothing he can do to be accepted in your eyes. And I was complaining about a boss. And I said, I was mad at her. I didn't say swear words because I don't swear very often. But I can imagine that, hey, who are you to tell me what I'm not doing in this relationship with my boss? Because it's his fault. He's a jerk. And I remember when she said that, I thought, oh my goodness, this keeps happening to me. And it wasn't easy to hear, but she didn't say, go do this, go talk to him and take this step and do that. Because she had me think about things. And what she told me was, I want you to work on who you be. And it didn't make any sense to me in my English major brain. How do you do being? How do you do being? I didn't get it. She goes, just what are you being, Jody? What are you being? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This makes no sense to me. Tell me what to do. This is how I was back in 2003. And she was so patient with me. And one day that just clicked. It was like, oh, who I be makes a difference in what I do. And it was like the switch flipped. And I went, oh. And I remember we had a celebration about that. She was in Savannah, Georgia at the time. So we were only coaching over the phone. That was before we had Zoom. And she said, I want you to go out and buy yourself some beads because you bead this week. It was kind of funny, but I totally remember that. And I remember that aha. And to me, that was worth all the money I paid her just for that right there, because that caused me to think about things differently. And then I can take that being with me in everything I do. If we're only doing things because somebody in authority tells us to do it without any context, how are we ever shifting anything? We as young kids are taught what to think, not how to think. And what if we were taught how to think about these things? What if we were given the opportunity to make our own mistakes, make our own pathways, not rely on a consultant or a coach even to tell us what to do? Next week, I want you to come back and have made 5 phone calls or 100 phone calls or whatever it is. And if you don't make those phone calls, then I'm not going to take your call, because if you're not going to do what you're paying me to do, which is to tell you what to do, then you don't deserve to have my coaching and my support. To me, that is just so old school. And maybe that works for some people. Maybe that's what the world needs, more accountability, more people in charge, telling people what to do and holding their feet to the fire. What a weird analogy. Maybe, but it's not me, and it's not the people I'm working with. There's another way. There's got to be another way. Because if we had authority that would step up and take accountability themselves, so that when they're holding other people accountable, they're doing it in an authentic way, maybe that would work. Maybe it would. If trust erodes, how do we get that back? What do we do in our organizations when we don't trust the leadership? What do we do when we, as the underlings, understand things that the leaders in charge don't? What happens then? What happens when we don't speak what we're recognizing? What happens when we just allow things to play out without having a voice for something else? So consider, I don't know the answers to all of this. I don't. I'm not here to provide answers. I have good questions. And I share good questions with organizations and individuals so that they can develop their own skills of discernment. What works to provide the result you say you want for your organization or yourself? If you're not clear about that big picture, no activity you take can possibly get you there because you don't know where there is. It's like getting in your car and driving around without a destination in mind. That just wastes gas and time. So I'm committed to having these kinds of conversations with people who really do want to understand things differently, people who really do want to be accountable without being held accountable. If there were a space where I could admit what I did and how it didn't work, and I didn't feel like I was going to be beat up or teased or chastised or punished for being honest, boy, sign me up. And that's what I'm creating in the Get Real Circle. It's a evolving place. It's a place where people are getting their feet, they're feeding, getting their footing. they're figuring things out. They're seeing how they can, maybe try out this idea and try out this idea. There's no punishment for doing that here, because how else are we going to learn? If I don't have an opportunity to try things out, how can I possibly know what my being can be developing into? How can I possibly know? So that's what the Get Real Circle is all about. And I just wanted to talk about accountability today, and just to say that it's not what I thought it was. And it doesn't have to be what I thought it was. Maybe it's holding people or helping people be able to do whatever they determine they want to do. And having a cheering section and having a circle where people can come in and go, I tried this and this worked, and people can go, awesome. So did that work the way you wanted it to? Well, this happened. Okay, well, what about this? What if we all give each other different perspectives about the situation? That's what masterminding is. That's what's going to happen in 2021 when people take accountability for themselves. They're going to be in these groups. They're going to invest time and money in the facilitation of these kinds of groups, because that's how the world around them is going to shift for the better. It's there. It's just waiting for all of us to step into it. So if you're interested in more information and inspiration like this, go to the Get Real Circle. Get Real Circle. No, wait, I think it's Get Real Movement. If you go to facebook.com/groups/Get Real Movement is what we named it. Or you can just find it by searching Get Real with a period at the end. My podcast is Circle Up and Get Real, where we talk about these kinds of things. And my course that we just started on yesterday, is Get Real Intensive. And there's a lot of opportunities for you to start taking accountability for your own life. It's up to you. It's up to you. I'm doing it. I hope to see you in the circle at some point, and to see how your world will shift for the better because you are being accountable. See ya.